lefties throng, with a red banner held high, marching forward through the night. Promises of old will keep as the donkeys start to weep. Stars and stripes forever sway, in the land of the brave we stay. We've got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down.
With a flagpole planted firm,
golden dreams that won't decay,
marching proudly through the day.
In the eagle's shadow by, we find our strength and take our pride. Let the voices echo loud, tearing through the waiting crowd. We've got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down. Across the plains and mountains tall, hear the victory call. With courage and with might we strive, in the light of freedom.
In the heart of the jungle there's a whisper. John Birch, a soldier, takes the lead. With the spirit so brave he conquers darkness. On his mission hear the call, take heed. Through the shadows where wild winds blow, he's seeking the truth where few dare to go. John in the heart of the wild, John on a journey so styled, John in the heart of the With faith in his soul he speaks to the lost, bringing warmth with every tale he tells. Through the valleys and hills where the rivers cross, he fights for the ones who wear the shells. With every step he dances with faith, unraveling tales that forever await. John in the heart of the wild, John on a journey so styled, John in the heart of the wild. Through the battles, through the night, he carries a flame, a guiding light, for every soul that's searching for peace in his heart. May the sorrow cease. John in the heart of the wild, John on a journey so styled, John in the heart of the wild.
Times are changing, feel the buzzing, staying true when they're fussing. Keep the flag a-flying through stormy nights. With the star-spangled banner, I stand tall with manners. Cross my heart with hope in sight. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and free, with liberty. Stick to values in the trends. Families gather, let's defend. Hold the line, keep the bond alive. Truth in our vision, in God we make decisions. For our dream, through thrive and strive. freedom in the land of hope and prairie, with liberty. We'll keep fighting for what's right, standing strong in the night. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and bravery, with liberty.
In our little town so serene, where the grass is green and air so clean, we gather round the table every night. Joyful days, oh once I end, with values passed, with generations past, living life with love that surely lasts. As the city lights look bright, we hold to our roots tight, in our hearts the same old fires, guided by the good old days. Sharing moments with friends always divine, working hard for what we seek, respecting each word we speak, holding dear to our family ties underneath these nostalgic skies. As the city lights so bright got you tight, in our hearts the same old fire. Oh, yeah. We sway with every change of time, but in our hearts, old love and soul, that baby in our heart, getting like a golden night in this fast-paced world we can fight. Traditions keep our hearts going wild, but you'll find in our hearts simple ways, we got it by the good old
days. We stand for our rights, we won't back down. With fire in our hearts, we're taking the town. Against the shadows, we'll fight for our land. Together we rise, united we stand. With the beat of the drums, we'll chant and shout from the sweet door safe, the hearts of the proud. No room for whispers, for fear and regret. Well, I don't story, you ain't seen nothing yet. Well, freedom we cherish, we'll make a stand. We're ready up to fight, time for our dance.
In the shadows they stand, with courage so bold, fighting for the land legends to behold. They whisper of hope, like tales of old. Right-wing heroes rise, their stories unfold. Oh, they carry the flame ever bright, guiding us home through the night.
In the shadows they gather, with their banners raised high, a song of defiance echoes beneath the sky. They rise up in the night, with passion burning bright.
In the heart of the jungle there's a whisper. John Birch, a soldier, takes the lead. flame, a guiding light for every soul that's searching for peace in his heart. May the sorrow cease. John in the heart of the wild, John on a journey so styled, John in the heart of the
Who are dancing to the radio, spinning round in the glow, carried dreams on the wind to see our heroes begin. Which shout will they light the way, with courage shining bright today? Together against the tide of years, remember when the heart stood tall.
We stand for our rights, we won't back down. With fire in our hearts, we're taking the town. Against the shadows, we'll fight for our land. Together we rise, united we stand. With the beat of the drums, we'll chant and shout across the street door, save the hearts of the crowd. No room for whispers, for fear and regret. We'll write our own story, you ain't seen nothing yet. We'll freedom we cherish, we'll make the stands.
In our little town so serene, where the grass is green, the air so clean, we gather round the table every night. Joyful days, oh, what Sian, with values passed from generations past, living life with love that surely lasts. As the city lights look bright, we hold to our roots tight, in our hearts the same old fires, guided by the good old days. Sharing moments with friends always divine, working hard for what we seek, respecting each word we speak, holding dear to our family ties underneath these nostalgic skies. As the city lights so bright, got you tight, in our hearts the same old fire. Oh, yeah. We sway with every change of time.
Hello and welcome to Culturama, where on this show we are reclaiming the zeitgeist here in the United States. I want to thank everyone that has decided to show up on today's show. Oh, I saw my phone on here. Okay, anyways, moving on. On this show, we are trying to reclaim the zeitgeist, like I said, reclaim the social conversation that we have lost so long ago, especially ones that relate to traditional Americana. And we have lost to the infection of postmodernism that has entered into our major institutions, our education systems, our school systems, and as well as our government agencies. And so not only with this present administration, but on this show and in many shows like this, what we're trying to do is to reclaim the conversation, the discourse, so we can reclaim principles here and culture back into the United States. Some may even say that is the embodiment of the zeitgeist. I want to thank everyone that has decided to join once again. I apologize for being gone on Tuesday. I did get a little sick. I'm still recovering, so forgive me if I'm a little slow on this show, but I assure you it's still going to be a very fun one. And I do want to say hello to those in the stream already. I know that I've been gone for like the first 20 minutes already, so I apologize, but we still have a lot to cover today. And I see that we already have a $2 donation. Where's my sound effect? $2 from JJ. Thank you so much, JJ. You wrote, can a man see an esthetician for eyebrows and a facial without appearing flamboyant? JJ, as long as you don't tell anyone, I think it's just fine. I'm kidding. Of course, do whatever you want. I am a libertarian especially when it comes to those things. Of course, we do have the consideration, that some men are a little bit metrosexual here and there. I wish that word would come back into play because really that's what I feel like today. We have completely erased that word and we've replaced it with other terminology that I just don't think are very applicable. Like, for instance, non-binary, trans, all these things that isn't applicable whatsoever. Sometimes men can just care about their appearance and it's fine, and it's not even necessarily effeminate to do so. So I think it's perfectly fine, JJ. And no, I wouldn't say it appears flamboyant. Maybe if you don't talk about it excessively, then perhaps it will be okay. But my goodness, we already have so many viewers on. So I want to say hello to all of those that I can. Of course, hello, JJ, for you that donated already so soon in the stream. Thank you. We have Nelson65. We have Entropy Nomad. Hello, yes, we have new music, Entropy Nomad. No Easy Answers. Welcome, No Easy Answers. You wrote here against orders from our lizard overlords. They live in my walls. Mine too. As you can tell, no easy answers. I have green walls behind me, and so therefore it would the natural explanation for that would be perhaps there are reptilians living behind my walls as well. Some have even equated me with the reptilian, so there's that possibility as well. We have Jose on YouTube as well. Welcome, Jose. That's I believe you came on my stream before, so it's very good to see you here in the stream again. Pork Chop 159, hello Pork Chop. Bruiser 55, Evan Rowan, hello everyone. Mr. Lipsurdy, I had not seen you in a while. It's very good to see you again. Of course, we have Grizz Cheese. Who else? Is there anyone new? The Grass Tag Kelm on YouTube. Good eve all. Excuse me if I didn't read your name right. The Grass Tag Kelm. Welcome to the show, Culturama. Very good to see you. I love to see new faces on this stream and on this show. We do not live in the walls. I mean, they don't live in the walls. Very good to know, Nelson65. Anyway, you guys, as usual, we have a lot to cover on this stream. And since I already started a little bit late, like I said, I am recovering from something. I don't know what I have. Okay, I don't know what I have. I'm just feeling extraordinarily out of it. So again, apologize with me. Apologize if I'm slow. Stick with me because I do have very concerning things to talk with you guys about today. And a lot of it is affecting our lives directly. Some more than others. And I don't know if you could tell by the thumbnail, but it's affecting some generations more than the present generation here, Generation Z or Y. So it is imperative that we do talk about this. But of course, I do want to get over some of the more lighter news, first of all. And I don't know if you guys are aware of what's been happening with the direwolf situation, but that is one thing I really want to cover with you guys before I jump into anything else. So apparently, let me open up the articles here. Apparently, we have direwolves in our midst, everybody. Hold on a second. Let me open this up. But is it actually direwolves? I want you guys to check this out, okay? All right. I don't know if you can see the screen behind me, but look at that. Do you guys hear that? And tell me if the audio is off. These are the first direwolf cries that we are hearing since 10,000 years ago. I'm going to check my second screen here to see if you guys can actually hear that. Because I can't see your comments on this end. But let me know if the audio works. But let me read this text here. The dire wolf has been extinct for over 10,000 years. This is true. Again, if you're not a 7-day creationist or whatnot, it's estimated it's been about 10,000 years. And these two wolves that you see before us here today, I'm sure a lot of you are already aware of this news as of a couple days ago. Of course, like I said, I was sick. I was going to talk about it on Tuesday. I couldn't, but I really want to talk about this topic because I think it is pertinent. Maybe pertinent's the right word, but it's also very concerning what colossal bioscience is doing. And I want to touch on this, but I do want to let you guys know I love scientific experimentation. I love new things. So I actually think this is pretty cool, and I'm not going to be overly cynical about it like some people have. But it is also important to go into the story with the knowledge, knowing what exactly it is that we're seeing here. Is this exactly dire wolves? Not exactly. The dire wolf has been extinct for over 10,000 years. These two wolves were brought back from extinction using genetic edits derived from a complete dire wolf genome. Meticulously reconstructed from colossal form ancient DNA found in fossils dating back over 11,000 to 72,000 years. That's incredible. This moment marks not only a milestone for us as a company, but also as a leap forward for science, conservation, and humanity. From the beginning, our goal has been clear. Quote, to revolutionize history and be the first company to use SRISPR technology successfully and the de-extinction of previously lost species. Okay, so that's what we're looking at here. And of course, their names are Remus and Romulus, for those that don't know. Isn't that adorable? I think it's so adorable. But a lot of people aren't too happy about this. Let's read the Time article. Romulus and Remus are doing what puppies do, as we've just seen. Chasing, tussling, nipping, nuzzling. But there's nothing very unpuppy-like about the snowy white 6-month-olds. Their size, for starters, because a dire wolf has been, as they say, more of an exceptionally large wolf and creature than we are quite used to. At their young age, they already measure nearly 4 feet long, tip the scales at 80 pounds. That's even heavier than Leo, you guys, and that's quite incredible. That's an incredible feat to get a dog bigger than my Chihuahua, especially with such a compact size. And they could grow for up to 6 feet and 150 pounds. Then there's their behavior. The angelic exuberance puppies exhibit in the presence of humans, trotting up for hugs, belly rubs, kisses, is completely absent. They keep their distance, repeating if a person approaches. Even one of the handlers who raised them from birth can only get so close before Romulus and Remus flinch and retreat. Okay, so they're a little bit more reclusive of a species. Interesting. This isn't a domestic canine behavior, of course not. This is wild lupine behavior. The pups are wolves. Shocking. Not only that, but they're dire wolves, which means they have cause to be lonely. Okay, so this is the meme-worthy Time article that's come out here. Now, I just want to reiterate this part. This has been this genetic editing, basically, and this article goes on to explain how exactly this works. Now, obviously, this is not an exact replica of what a dire wolf is or was. Okay, I'm sorry to break it to you guys, but this is just one of those things that I feel like most people should know, but for some reason, because of the major marketing psyops that we've been facing, a lot of people were under the impression this is a real life dire wolf. No, that's not exactly what's going on here. It's impossible to have a dire wolf here today as we have had in the past. Exactly. Sure, the genetic structure is pretty similar, if not the same, and therefore the dog itself may look similar. However, they had to do an immense amount of gene editing and implantation, and actually deriving the genes from normal modern day wolves to get this specimen. So it's not exactly a dire wolf. We have been doing this for the last 20 years now, if not more. When Dolly the sheep was first, for those that are aware of the story, remember we did clone a sheep years ago. I believe it was in the 90s already. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it was in the 90s. And so we do have the technology. We have been doing it. And when I saw this on the news, I was a bit perplexed, thinking why this was as big as it was. I like canines, so I got excited nevertheless. But why is it that the conversation and the discourse that did happen on Tuesday was absolutely submerged with the dire wolf discourse? People are upset, a little pissy, because it turns out this is not exactly the dire wolf that we were expecting. This is, in fact, the dire wolf of the past. Of course, this is an illustration, an exact, display of what a dire wolf would look like. However, this is pretty much what is to be. It has almost like a hyena-esque physiognomy, and I know hyenas aren't related to lupines in any sense of anyway. In fact, I think they're more related to cats, but it almost has like this slope, and I'm sure it was much more immense in its size than essentially what we have here, which is a white wolf. This person wrote teal deer, or, too long, didn't read. Are they really dire wolves? No, they're genetically modified gray wolves. Is this PR? Yes. But the technology they're developing here is still impressive and could be used in conversation. I like to say zeitgeist, but whatever. That's what Culturama is about. Most readers missed it, but Colossal also cloned some endangered red wolves. So yes, is this like a massive marketing campaign that went very well? And I also want to reiterate that these wolves, these wolf pups that I've just shown you, they were actually born in October. So they were around for a while already, for a few months. This happened in October, but all of a sudden, all of us are just discovering it. I don't have the chart pulled up, but I don't know if you guys saw, but the amount of times that people Googled the word direwolf has just like spiked as of 2 days ago, as opposed to, before. I'm sure you all have seen the chart. But they were obviously sitting on this information and this technology to a degree for quite a while. Maybe they wanted to see, if the pups would survive before they came out with the news that, hey, look, or before they grew up a little bit, so they could put this beast on Time magazine. Before they come out and say that this is a direwolf, we've replicated a direwolf. So perhaps they had to wait for a little bit. But it is really, I think, if anything, is actually quite extraordinary here, more than the actual replication of the direwolf, is the very strategic, well done marketing campaign, psyoping people that this is new technology. Again, if you're worth your salt, I'm sorry to offend anyone, but if you're worth your salt, if you're like somewhat well read, you would know that we had this technology for a while now. We have cloned species, we've cloned animals before. We've done things like this before. This is nothing new. This is not, I don't think it's, a monstrous manipulation of nature. I think this is actually amazing that we can do this. It's still, like this person that tweeted out and said, it's still worth the conversation. It's amazing that we can do this, but we have been doing this for a while. What I find more appealing and interesting as a point of conversation here is how exactly did we get millions of people to talk about a direwolf despite having this technology for so long? I leave it up to my audience to decide that. All right, you guys. I remember Dolly the Sheep. It was like 99 to 2001 era, right, Bruiser 55. I must have been, I think I was like 4 or 5 years old when it happened. Oh, and another $2, by the way. Hang on a second. Another $2 from JJ. JJ, you wrote, check your XDM for a crypto headline. Of course, JJ, I will check that out here in a second. Yes. We've had this technology, like someone mentioned, Whitey White 14. By the way, Whitey White, welcome to the stream today. You wrote saber-toothed tiger would be cool. It'll probably never happen. Exactly, Whitey White. I think creatures like that, I think the woolly mammoth is possible. Saber-toothed tiger, more extraordinary animals. In fact, even dinosaurs, I think would be far more difficult to replicate. But that would be far more amazing. I do think it's technically possible to do so. Theoretically possible to do so, absolutely. However, the challenge behind that, of course, would take far more resources, far more time, and perfection of the craft. But at that point, I think that would be something worthy of a Time magazine cover, because again, this is just a genetically modified wolf. There's nothing really quite amazing about this. Again, this marketing campaign, whoever was behind this, does deserve a raise. It really goes to show how easily manipulated and psyoped people truly are, considering that we had this technology for so long. Anyway, you guys, we have a lot more to cover. So, JJ, I will check your DM in the next hour, well, not next hour, after the commercial break. Thank you, Whitey White. Thank you for joining. I apologize I wasn't able. If you were going to join on Tuesday, I was sick. I'm sorry. But we're back here on Thursday, everyone. So we have a lot more to cover. Tune in. Stay here for the next commercial break, and I'll be pulling up the next few news stories here. And I think you guys are going to find this quite entertaining. Welcome to BOOMSDAY, everybody.
Well, Sandy yellow like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Culturama, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way. It's Culturama, taking back tomorrow today.
You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the four olds. Old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So, your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah, who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being.
If you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Well, things haven't been so sweet for Ben & Jerry's after the company posted an anti-American tweet, a few of them, on the 4th of July. The ice cream makers declared the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land.
Well, someone should tell Target that, because they're now selling swimsuits with tuckums in the women's section of the store. And they even have a line just for kids.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to Ben & Jerry's and ask them how they can live with themselves as they operate a multi-billion-dollar company on stolen land while declaring other people give up their so-called stolen land.
This is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie that says whatever the hell that means. We have glad you came out, and I'm so happy that you're queer. In the kids section. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but pride and toddler don't belong in the same sentence.
Good news! Starbucks will offer its workers reimbursement of travel expenses related to accessing abortion and gender-affirming procedures.
Kyle Rittenhouse was seen wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company shirt, and they wanted to distance themselves from that individual. Key employees at the company also were donating to Democrats. Hafer doubled down on throwing many in his base under the bus, describing them as racist and a repugnant group of people.
Hey, Liberty lovers, stop scrolling, because if you're tired of the same old news, then I've got just the wake-up call for you. I want to thank you for tuning in to Culturama, and I know that you're enjoying every minute of it. Join us at rumble.com/AP4Liberty. The Wake Up America show is Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. It's a great way to start your day. Coffee's optional, but waking up is mandatory. Remember, at Wake Up America, we'll keep you sharp, we'll keep you laughing, most of all, we'll keep you free. I'll see you in the morning.
Welcome back to Culturama, everybody, where we are reclaiming the zeitgeist here on this show. Thank you so much, Nelson65, for advertising on the show in the comments. Yes, if you want a Leo pillow, I forgot to advertise my dog. Speaking of dire wolves, everyone, if you want a wonderful pillow, I don't have my Leo pillow in yet. I need to get it still. But if you want a pillow of a real life replication of a dire wolf species, please go to the link that Nelson65 has just dropped in the chat. And there you can get your very own Leo the Beast pillow, everybody. Okay, more in serious news, everybody. The Metcalf murder. So, I'm sorry to have to follow up with such a serious story, but this is very important because I didn't have a chance to talk about it, okay? It's an important thing. Everyone's talking about it. I got to talk about it in Culturama, but also, more importantly, this is very much really affecting the real lives of people in the United States, Americans, but most importantly, young white men. And this is a story that I just think is being completely botched by big media. Granted, it has been reported and given its justice, but the reporting has at least been explained in full. And it's quite amazing to see how careless people are treating the story, given the circumstances and nature of this case, given the fact that it's almost without, beyond a reasonable doubt, that we do know who the perpetrator was and who committed this crime. And yet people are completely botching the story and marring the details and not giving the story the respect that it deserves. Let me read this tweet out to you guys. I reviewed the available police reports in the Carmelo Anthony case. Okay. You guys probably are already aware. I did touch on this, I actually believe, last week when it was just fresh, with the father who was forgiving his son's, or the perpetrator of, his son's death. So studiously and so quickly as a Christian. But there are further details that are being revealed about this case that shows how some Americans are not only just not taking it seriously or are just joking about it, but they're doing it vitriolically and out of spite against a certain demographic of Americans. Anyway, like this person says, I reviewed the available police reports in the Carmelo Anthony case. For those that don't know, Carmelo Anthony was a young black gentleman who attended, I believe it was a track meet, with a knife concealed. And a young white man approached him, said he was sitting in the wrong seat, and Carmelo Anthony proceeded to stab him, therefore killing Austin Metcalf. And this is what followed. Carmelo Anthony came prepared with a knife to Austin Metcalf's school, approached Austin while this is all true. This has all been proven true. Approached Austin while he was sitting with his teammates, intentionally provoked contact between them, dared Metcalf to touch him, and then stabbed him, therefore taking his life. These are the details. While carrying a bag with a knife in it onto another high school property, Carmelo Anthony approached the opposing team of the high school students sitting at the bleachers under the team tent. He went with intention. Austin Metcalf was sitting there with his teammates and asked Carmelo Anthony to leave their team area. Carmelo Anthony refused and said, touch me, quote, touch me and see what happens. Austin Metcalf proceeded to touch him. He then grabbed him a second time, telling him to move. Carmelo Anthony stabbed Austin in the chest in response and ran away, leaving the knife on the bleachers. Carmelo then made multiple unprovoked statements to the police, such as, I'm not alleged, but I did it. I was protecting myself and he put his hands on me. So, this young man literally just so eager to let authorities know, I did it, I'm the guy that killed him. And still people are kind of questioning about whether or not we should proceed with charging him accurately. And believe me, we're still going to talk about the charges here. Obviously, I'm not going to read all this with the arrest report, but all the details that this woman has outlined here are in the report, in the following report. And then we have people on X. It's not primarily black people, but they typically tend to be. Obviously, some of this is vitriolic following the George Floyd case. I understand. But it is difficult to ignore that there is this anti-white hatred brewing amongst Americans, and it is imperative to draw attention to it. Racist blacks on X admit they are fabricating posts about Austin Metcalf to make him the aggressor instead of the victim. The Frisco Police Department has already called out the fake accounts and fake posts. Okay, so here's one post. This person wrote, they was gonna spin the story either way. I'm down for people using disinfo to defend the black kid, TBH. I think this pic is a good example because I'm pretty sure it's fake. Regardless, black folks gotta start fighting fire with fire. You gotta play the game or the game plays you. Okay, that's one post. Here's a post from the Frisco Police Department. Frisco PD is aware of a post from a fake account on social media purporting to belong to Chief David Shilson. The post is not from an official source. It may contain information that is false or misleading. Okay, so there has been multiple accounts and posts like this where, and I've seen them scattered all throughout X. I'm sure it's happening on Facebook as well, where you have people, black and white. It's not just black people, but plenty of people that are just sprinkling and spreading this info. Some even saying that Austin Metcalf had actually died of a drug overdose, as opposed to what he actually died of, the stabbing, to fabricate the actual details of the case. And on top of all this, on top of the absolute tragedy and the evil surrounding these people that are completely fabricating and changing the details and the narrative of the story, to the point where they're vilifying white people, they are proceeding now to give this individual, Carmelo Anthony, money. Murderer Carmelo Anthony has received twice as much in donations as the family of his victim, Austin Metcalf. Something is seriously wrong in America. So there you go. Help the Carmelo official fund. He has raised over $200,000. And Austin Metcalf has received $100,000. Now, this may be different as far as this episode is airing right now, but at the time when I was gathering this information, this is what we're facing right now. So, this man belongs in prison, but will he actually remain in prison? Texas teen charged with killing Austin Metcalf will not face a death penalty or life in prison without parole. By the way, this has just come out today, on April 10th. Let's open this article up. Also, we have $5 from No Easy Answers. Thank you so much, No Easy Answers. You wrote, okay, what did you write here? Move to nowhere, Alaska. Take a nice homely wife and convince her to have 10 children with you. Invite whites to come with you. Leave this experiment behind. We were wrong. No Easy Answers is the best. Beautifully said, No Easy Answers. And thank you for donating to the Culturama stream. Very much appreciated. And yes, I hope that is a future for you. No Easy Answers. Truly. Find yourself a wife, move to Alaska, have as many offspring as you want. Truly, I think this is perhaps, what is this? It's not accessing the here we go. I hope this is the life and the future for you. No Easy Answers. God bless you and Godspeed. Anyway, let's read this article. Texas teen charged with killing Austin Metcalf will not face a death penalty or life in prison without parole. District says a district attorney. Okay, very concerning news. The teen suspected of killing Austin, who was, by the way, 17. By the way, had a bright future ahead of him. Had a lot of I believe he was involved in a lot of extracurriculars. Really a stand-up guy. It wasn't just like granted, any life taken is terrible and evil, but it's just so sad to see a man with such a bright future ahead of him completely erased from this plane of existence. Very sad. Anyways, Austin Metcalf at a Texas track meet will not face the death penalty. Not Austin, Carmelo will not face a death penalty or life in prison without parole, according to Collin County District Attorney Greg Willis. Willis explained at a 2005 Supreme Court ruling, Roper versus Simmons prohibits juveniles from receiving such punishments. So it turns out that Carmelo is just a bit too young. Of course, he had no idea what he was doing. He was too young. He was so impressionable. I mean, clearly, when he outright stated that he will stab this man, he was just struggling with his inner demons. He was just so tortured. It's not as though he literally went there with the knife concealed, almost begging to stab somebody. But anyway, the Supreme Court has said that not only can you not seek the death penalty against someone who committed a crime when they're 17, you can't get them life without parole. That would not be something we could even do if we wanted. Carmelo Anthony, who is also 17, has been accused of stabbing Metcalf to death during a track meet on April 2nd. He faces first-degree murder charges and is being held in custody for a $1 million bail. Well, at least the bail is higher, I guess. The tragedy has since garnered national attention, raising concerns among Anthony's supporters about a fair trial if the case was tried in the county. Willis said the decision is up to the judge. Ultimately, it will be the judge's decision to make that at the time of trial, but yes, this happened in Collin County. One witness said that Metcalf touched Anthony, while another said he grabbed Anthony during confrontation. I'm sure the confrontation did get pretty heated. A witness told police that Anthony then reached into his bag and the male took a knife out of the bag and stabbed Austin, per an arrest report obtained by Fox News. According to the police report, the defendant confessed to killing once officers arrived at the scene. I was protecting myself. He put his hands on me, Anthony told the police. Once again, he said, I'm not alleged, I did it. Once again, this man was begging to be caught. Okay, so just when you thought that this couldn't get any more obvious or wild enough, okay, we have one of our own kind, you could say one of our own, Tim Pool, defend Carmelo Anthony. What is going on with Tim Pool? Let's give this a listen.
There was an argument between Carmelo Anthony, who was from a rival school, who was there, and there were a bunch of kids from this town or whatever, and they got into an altercation. They told him he wasn't supposed to be there. Apparently, they had words. Carmelo Anthony pulled a knife out from his bag and said, touch me and see what happens. Witnesses said either he was touched or grabbed. They were different witness accounts, but that Austin Metcalf did put hands on Carmelo, who then stabbed him once in the chest before running away. According to police, Carmelo Anthony, when he got apprehended or turned himself in, however the story goes, I mean, different accounts, he asked if Austin was going to be okay and said it was self-defense. He said he grabbed me and I said self-defense. The family is arguing it was self-defense. It's strange to me that with this story, the right is adamant that this kid just killed another kid and he should go to prison forever. And I'm like, we don't even know what happened. Like, you've got witness testimony that sounds like a fight happened at a school. Then I've heard the argument, yeah, well, he shouldn't have had a knife. He brought a knife to a school, and it's like, okay, what kind of knife was it? Was it a utility knife? Was it a switchblade? Was it a machete? Like, did he have a steak knife? Was he coming back from culinary class where he had fine Japanese blades for cutting cucumbers? I have no idea. You're allowed to carry knives I'm pretty sure in Texas, especially if it's like a utility blade. You're also not allowed to grab people. Nobody knows the exact specifics of this story with Carmelo and Metcalf. Some witnesses said that Austin touched Carmelo. Some say he grabbed him. Whatever. The courts will play it out. If weapons are banned, he's going to go to jail. However, in a general self-defense context, this is why I'm saying the story I find so confusing. We have always maintained, when it comes to self-defense, it is not the responsibility of the victim of an attack to determine the extent of that lethal force. Yeah. If they are being attacked, their perception of how far that force goes is it.
I'm sorry, what the hell was that? What is Tim Pool exactly talking about? So he's questioning about whether Carmelo was allowed to have a knife there. Yeah, no one, like, for those that are talking about that, sure. Yeah, he's allowed to have a knife, whatever. He's allowed to defend himself. Okay. Maybe Metcalf grabbed him or, jostled him a little bit because, let's be honest, Carmelo's probably acting a little belligerent. Okay. It wasn't in Austin's mind, perhaps, to stab him immediately. But regardless of the details of the case, exactly whether or not you're allowed to have a knife or whether or not, excuse me, still recovering, I'm so sick, or whether or not Carmelo is allowed to retaliate in self-defense, I personally don't even think Austin was that active with Carmelo, but regardless, the point of the matter is that he came out and he straight up told police officers and law enforcement that he killed him, okay? He took a man's life because he was told to be sitting on a different seat. It's almost as though that man's anger was sort of left unchecked. It's almost as if this man is perhaps a little unstable and he's a danger, not only to himself or those around him, but to greater society. And maybe it's important to recognize that. And, you know, this is, of course, limited to Carmelo individually, of course. But once again, I do want to reiterate that the details surrounding this case and the people that have been fabricating information about the case and putting it on social media shows the absolute vilification of young white men. Again, guys, people are celebrating that Austin had passed away, okay, and his life was taken away from him.
There was an argument between Carmelo Anthony.
But regardless, why is Tim Pool going out and playing defense for this guy? It makes me question, like, who's pulling the strings behind Tim Pool here? Okay? I don't often, to be honest with you guys, I don't really listen to Tim Pool all that much. I don't care for him. He's fine, I guess. He's just another talking head. I personally think Culturama is a little bit more entertaining, but that's just me. But who is pulling the strings here? Who donated to him lately? I mean, is this truly, genuinely just Tim Pool's take? Is he just trying to be, what's the word? What's the word I'm thinking of? Not he's a shill, someone wrote, maybe JJ. He's not trying to, not devil's advocate. He's trying to be like disagreeable, or I'm sure someone in the chat can tell me another word for this. He's trying to be contrarian. That's what I'm thinking of. Is Tim Pool just trying to be like a little contrarian, or is he trying to be kind of like, you know, Richard Hanenya a bit? Where he's trying to be a little bit more different, you know, and he thinks he's really putting in his extra 2 cents, or is really changing the broader conversation in the right-wing narrative. Maybe he thinks that's what he's doing, or maybe he's getting big dono money that's completely changing his own personal narrative. I have no idea. I just don't know how you can look at this case and say like, oh yeah, no, you know what? I think Carmelo's totally in the right here. No, I think he's completely sane and stable behavior. Definitely a stable genius. We have attending track meets. Truly a wonder. But I hope that whatever Tim Pool has said here is going to cost him a little bit of his audience, because whatever he's spouting here, this dribble, is just dangerous in the long term. Again, let's be honest with what happened here. Carmelo is a dangerous individual, okay? I'm not saying everyone in his demographic is a dangerous individual, but Carmelo himself is dangerous, and there are particular statistics that we need to be aware of. And I saw someone in the chat write about the statistics of violence for black male individuals. I believe, who wrote that? I'm trying to find it. I do have an offensive statistics segment in this stream. It's not here though. It's actually later. It's about something else. But the violence, there are certain demographics of people here that are obviously far more violent and have a greater proclivity towards crime than other demographics. And, you know, that really should beg the question about what's going on here, culturally or otherwise. What is truly happening to not only, you know, affect young black men and compel them to do this and to get into these lifestyles, but not only that, but additionally on top of that, not only are we ignoring that fact, but we turn around and we turn around and we vilify white men. Very strange. Oh, a statistics podcast. How brave, writes Fiery Waco. Fiery Waco, you'd be surprised. These days, apparently it is brave. Matt Walsh made a whole segment talking about how black men are like statistically more violent or have a greater proclivity to crime than white people. And people were just losing their minds over it. He was just referencing statistics. 1 out of 20 blacks will commit a murder in their life, writes Whitey White. Really? That's so sad, you guys. What fatherlessness will do to a person. You know what I mean? What fatherlessness will do to an MF. I'm not going to say the word. It's a family show, even though it's an evening show. Okay. Well, we already are starting off with a very hot start, everyone. Thank you for tuning into Culturama. Again, I apologize for if I do have a lack of energy a little bit. I am recovering from a little bit of truth is sickness, right, Barney Styles? I am recovering from a bit of an illness. I don't know what it is exactly. Pray for me because I know I have a lot of energy right now. I'm a very good actress, but no, seriously. Thank you everyone that has tuned in. I apologize for missing Tuesday. I hate to miss a stream, you know it, but I'm going to do my best to stream as much as I can. But thank you everyone that is tuning in and is taking part of the conversation and of the zeitgeist of Culturama. Of course, you know, I do talk about topics that are more mainstream, but we do have to talk about topics that are, you know, pertinent not just for our national identity, but also for our individual selves. And I know a lot of white men watch this program, so I do want to, you know, give you guys credit and say that it's really unfortunate that the utmost vilification of white men is occurring so much in America to the point where we are, you know, outright faking crime reports and completely vilifying victims where none of this was deserved, obviously. I mean, Metcalf, regardless of whether or not he tugged at Carmelo's shirt sleeve or not, does not deserve him to get stabbed in the chest multiple times for him to die. And the fact that we're socially just brushing this over and thinking that this is fine is kind of sick and strange. But JJ, I know you sent me a DM. I will receive and open and read your DM. But what I do want to say is thank you everyone that is tuning in. We have one more hour left of this show. I apologize for starting a little late here, but we do have the Liberty Tonight show streaming right after this one. But we have a jam-packed more next hour here with more information, so I want to get that on here as quick as I can. Also, please like and share the stream, everybody. I really appreciate it. And by the way, if you like gaming, tune into the Culturama Saturday night stream where I game. I have been playing Civilization. I'm thinking of playing a new game, so throw in your game suggestions and in the chat there, please. I will appreciate it, but I will be right back. I'm going to bring up the next few stories, everybody, so stay tuned, and we have a lot more. Also, we just have another donation. Hold on a second. $5 from No Easy Answers. Hero, Whitey White 14 is the best. God bless you, Whitey White 14, and thank you, No Easy Answers. Very true. Okay, everyone, I'll be right back. Stay tuned.
I thought the world would turn slower, not as fast as it does. Conservative hearts were steady, sure, and just because a simpler time of values when right was what it was. It seems like those days vanished with just a fleeting pause.
Right-wing dreams of yesterday, steady in the fray, keeping timeless traditions, leading all the way.
Times are changing, feel the buzzing, staying true when they're fussing. Keep the flag a-flying through stormy nights. With the star-spangled banner, I stand tall with manners. Cross my heart with hope in sight. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and prairie with liberty. Stick to values in the trends. Families gather, let's defend. Hold the line, keep the bond alive. Truth in our vision, in God we make decisions. For our dream, true, thrive and strive. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and prairie with liberty. We'll keep fighting for what's right, standing strong in the night. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and bravery, with liberty.
Dancing to the radio, spinning round in the glow. Carried dreams on the wind to see our heroes begin. Which shout will they light the way? With courage shining bright today, holding hands through the fights and fears, together against the tide of years. Remember when the heart stood tall.
In the shadows they stand, with courage so bold, fighting for the land legends to behold. They whisper of hope, like tales of old. Right-wing heroes rise, their stories unfold. Oh, they carry the flame ever bright, guiding us home through the night.
In the shadows they gather, with their banners raised high, a song of defiance echoes beneath the sky. They rise up in the night with passion burning bright.
We stand for our rights, we won't back down. With fire in our hearts, we're taking the town. Against the shadows, we'll fight for our land. Together we rise, united we stand for the beat of the drums. We'll chant and shout across the sweet Dorsey, the hearts of the proud. No room for whispers, for fear and regret. We'll write our own story, you ain't seen nothing yet. We'll freedom we cherish, we'll make the stands. We're ready up to fight it. Time for our dance.
All right, we are back and making it here on Culturama, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I see here that we have a $1 donation from Fiery Waco. Thank you so much, Fiery Waco. And you wrote, I hear Fiery Waco is a fine fellow, wrote Fiery Waco. Thank you so much, Fiery Waco. Great news. But if you guys want to shout out yourself personally, Culturama is a place to do that. Even if it's just as low as $1, please donate to the stream. It goes a long way in supporting the stream and also getting your message out there for all the fans that watch the show. So, that's always an option. Anyways, we have some boomer tier news to start off with. Now, I know a lot of you guys have already heard the talking points, but if you didn't, I'm just going to let you guys know that boomers are not too happy with the tariff situation that we are facing. Now, look, I myself am skeptical of the tariffs, and I still am. It makes for a very volatile market environment. So I understand why some people are upset, but alas, some may say that the boomers are a bit more entitled as far as it impacts them. And this is why I titled this stream BOOMSDAY. Okay, so let's start off with the next few stories here that we have saved up today, everybody. First and foremost, let's start off with this video.
The chat with their greatest hits, and I want to debunk these very quickly. I made $1.40 in 1970.
Let's start from the beginning. Hold on.
A boomer hops into the chat with their greatest hits, and I want to debunk these very quickly. I made $1.40 in 1970. My first house interest rate was at 13%. I still don't own an effing $1,500 cell phone or an Xbox. Why does the boomers have this weird flex where they want to tell us they walked uphill in glass, had no air conditioning, lived in a dumpster, and shit in a bucket? In 2024, if someone works 40 hours a week, they should be able to have a roof over their head, air conditioning, a cell phone in their pocket, and food in their belly. We're not asking for mansions and yachts here. If you want to talk about the minimum wage in 1970 was $1.40, today it's just $7.25. It 5x, where the average apartment in 1970 was $100 108, now it's 2,000 at 20x. The average house was 17,000, it's now 415 at 24x. You want to talk about your 13% interest rate, you're talking about 1980. The average houses did go up to 50,000, but the median household income in 1980 was 21,000. And at a 13% interest rate, your monthly payment was just $550, which was incredibly doable with that income. Today, $415,000 with a 7% interest rate is putting our payment at $3,000. Most people making 85 grand cannot afford that. They would have to have all their debt paid off and $100,000 cash to even come close to qualifying, and it would still be pushing. A boomer hops into the chat.
Are boomers just notoriously bad at math like that? It's very interesting how often they come out with these narratives. By the way, Fiery Waco, I don't believe you stole Whitey White's thunder, because I think I read Whitey White's Rumble rant already before the break. But no easy answers donated to Whitey White. But just to reiterate, so Whitey White didn't feel excluded if they missed it. No easy answers donated $5, and they wrote Whitey White 14 is the best. There you go. But there you go, Whitey White and Fiery Waco. But why are boomers so incredibly bad at mathematics, and why are, and of course, I know some baby boomers watch this stream, and I'm going just to say this: it's not all baby boomers, but I do want to say that as far as demographics go, we were just talking about demographics, okay? So everyone has their day. I have to hear about female demographics all the time on Twitter, all right? But why is it that the baby boomer generation are the most affected by this and the most the most concerned as far as this tariff conversation is impacting them? They say that, of course, it will cause for a very volatile market, and this is in fact true. The U.S., of course, stops letting countries rob them. Markets crash worldwide. Okay, so there's this stat: European stock markets crash at open. But of course, as of yesterday, I believe, what happened to a big crash, this only goes to show the stock market means nothing. It is now skyrocketing. As you can see, we're big and green, everybody. I don't have any sound effects for this. What sound effects can I use for this? It's not going to work. I don't have any sound effects for this. Here. There's your sound effect, everyone. It's going pretty well. $2 trillion added to the U.S. stock market at open. So yeah, it's a bit volatile. My boomer parents are broke, wrote Entropy Nomad. I'm so sorry to hear that, Entropy Nomad. Like I said, not all boomers. Nelson65 wrote, because of 401ks and the retirement funds. Exactly, Nelson65. That's who it really impacts directly. And it's quite unfortunate for them. It also has been done at the expense of the younger generations as well. This person wrote here, remember that when boomers were afraid of the 99.9% survival rate virus, they, quote, this is just a quick reminder, okay? This is not a blanket statement, just a quick reminder. They shut down the world economy. Boomers apparently did this. But they stalled. The boomers were a big demographic in promoting this view. Stalled the incoming crash with $8 trillion of cash injections to prop it up, cause a mass inflation in retail and the speculative market, refused to default on houses, causing multi-trillion-dollar FHA loan bubble, created a housing crisis, forced vaccines in everyone that wanted to go outside, etc., etc. My dad's a boomer and my mom is Gen X, wrote Bruiser55. Well, there you go. But how exactly is this impacting boomers? I got this Business Insider article for $1 to read it off to you guys, so here we go. It's going to explain to us in black and white how exactly this is going to manifest and materialize before us here today. Boomers are in big trouble if the stock market keeps sliding. How so? Baby boomers' hopes of retiring comfortably could be at risk if stocks keep falling. Older Americans could be forced to delay retirement, resume working, and cut back on spending. That is quite unfortunate. Retirement gurus shared a range of strategies to preserve their nest eggs. Baby boomers' dreams of a comfy retirement are in jeopardy as a flagging stock market threatens to spoil their plans. The benchmark of S&P 500 index dropped 10% between February 19th and March 13th, a 7-month low fueled by fears that the Trump administration's policies could tip the economy into recession. It's still in the red for 2025. The sell-off pinched older Americans' portfolios, shrinking their nest eggs and stoking worries about affording the retirement they imagined. Most boomers are in their 60s and 70s getting ready to exit the workforce, or, well, it's about time if you ask me. Hopefully that this is a big unfortunate circumstance with all this, is that the boomers will have to maintain their positions of power in particular fields and in the workforce, and that is quite unfortunate, especially for younger people that are looking for jobs. If we continually bring in H-1B visas in this country and do this, that could be a big issue for employment and for the younger generation. So I will concede that part. But anyway, most boomers in their 60s and 70s getting ready to exit the workforce or already in retirement, they owe stocks worth nearly $20 trillion, almost half of the U.S. market, between their direct holdings and 401ks. They've, quote, ridden the wave with nary a move to take profits, diversify, and rebalance, leaving them heavily exposed to market downturns and with limited time to recover losses. He said, they're talking about David Rosenberg, the president of the Rosenberg Research. So there you go. If David is of worth of anything, it's that. So thank you, David. We have $10 from Bucks Nasty. Thank you so much, Bucks Nasty. You wrote "Loving the Stream," Leo emoticon for the Zodiac. Thank you so much, Bucks Nasty. I appreciate you. And I love it when you join the stream as well. And thank you so much for your generous donation. Anyway, moving on. If their portfolios keep declining while they're withdrawing money to cover living expenses, they won't fully recover, even if the market rebounds. A danger known as a, quote, sequence of return risk. The more you know. I wish I had that sound effect. I don't. What equivalent do I have of that? I don't have an equivalent of the more you know sound effect. I'm sorry, guys. Here. FBI, open up! I'm going to get more sound effects. Rosenberg continued to say, warned that if the pullback continues, many will be forced to re-enter the labor market, packing bags at their local Walmart. Do you guys remember when the old people used to give out stickers in the entrance of the Walmart? Bring back Walmart nationalism and greatness. This is where they belong. Okay? There you go. Time to receive some stickers. As soon as Walmart eliminated that feature of their stores, I think the stores just went downhill. Not only that, but the goodness of the nation sort of lost its spirit as soon as that happened. It's almost as if Christmas lost Santa Claus. When the nation of the United States does not have old people giving out smiley face stickers in Walmart, is the equivalent of Santa Claus dying and Christmas no longer being Christmas. That's sort of what I'm talking about here. Okay. Moving on. Those who refuse to sell stocks could find themselves cutting back in their retirement lifestyles, spending like it's nobody's business. Very sad. Wave bye-bye to cruise lines, tablets, and cosmetic surgeries. Oh no! Okay, sweeping fallout. If these portfolio losses continue, we could be looking at a retirement crisis. Okay. I'm going to swear here. Okay, guys? Hang on to your seats. I don't want to shit talk the boomers too much. But it's sort of understood that it's because of the implications of their spending and their generation that we are so struggling under the insurmountable debt that we are already, as far as Gen X, Y, and Z are concerned. And potentially Alpha, I don't know. Again, I'm not an economist. This is why I'm reading an article to you guys. I don't really exactly know the details of this, but still, we are suffering quite immensely from their burdens. And so for them to, be burdened themselves, and not even to the point where they're starting off their lives like a lot of Gen Zers are, or Gen Yers have been trying to do, buying a house, trying to find affordable housing in the housing market is like ridiculous right now. Everyone has to rent sardine cans to live in, okay? First of all, housing market is just shit. The job market hasn't been doing too well. But people are trying to start their lives at a very crucial point of their lives. I'm going to be 30. I know, I don't look 30. I'm kidding. But I'm going to be 30. It's difficult for me to start my life. And it's difficult for a lot of people my age and younger, especially, to start their lives. And you're telling me that I should feel bad because some old folks cannot go on that many cruises or, get excessive housing loans. It's just very strange to me that I'm supposed to feel bad about this. But what do I know? Maybe I'm the selfish one. Anyways, millions might have to delay retirement by 3 to 5 years, creating a workforce bottleneck that blocks younger employees from advancing. For individuals, the consequences could be devastating: depleting savings, increased debt, and psychological distress. Well, you know what? I've been having a lot of psychological distress ever since I graduated college. So welcome to the jungle. Selling at lows might stock in permanent losses, Schmidt continued. Reduced spending could create a negative feedback loop that results in a slimmer of corporate profits, job losses, further asset price declines, pressure on housing markets as retirees abandon downsizing plans, and younger generations have to support parents whose, quote, retirement funds have evaporated, he added. The unfortunate part of all this is that some boomers may have to live with their kids. Kind of like how kids are living with their parents right now. So, like I said, welcome to the jungle, everybody. This is the American economy. The whole economy could suffer if retirees cut back when consumer spending is already under pressure. Markets could also be hit if more people are selling stocks to cover living costs. Market Hamrick, Bank Rates Senior Economic Advisor and Washington Bureau Chief, told the BI. Okay, thank you, Mark. Prepare for trouble. Current and future retirees may be tempted to cash out, fearing further declines for stocks. However, making impulsive decisions like pulling out investments in a panic could disrupt years of careful planning. The urge to react is high in uncertain times. It very much is. But overhauling investments or fleeing markets can backfire. Okay? Duna noted that markets typically recover within a few years, so fears selling after prices collapse and buying back after it feels safe can leave you selling low and buying high. However, Rosenberg urges boomers to get their heads out of the sand. It's about time, guys, and recognize that bull markets don't last forever. He said the best way to cushion the blow right now is to finally start the process of de-risking their portfolios and shifting to cash, bonds, and gold. It's time you guys start listening to those gold commercials. I need to get one of those. Bruiser asks in the chat, are boomers now considered the most liberal voting generation in the last cycle? I think so. I'm not too. It could be millennial. It could be Gen Y, but I will have to double check on that. But Bruiser, I think you are accurate. Mr. Pig in the chat is writing yes. Yeah, that's young men, Mr. Pig. But is that accurate for everyone, like men and women in the boomer generation? Probably. Women are going to vote liberal anyway. Yeah. Probably, Bruiser. I would argue that perhaps Gen Y is a good contender, but I think you're accurate to assert that, more or less. So, anyways, a lot of untreaded waters here for the boomer generation. Now, once again, the reason why I titled this stream "BOOMSDAY" is because, as you guys have seen, the conversations that have been occurring in the discourse that has been occurring online, the greater question to be had here is, what are the younger generations supposed to do, and what is a present administration, how are they supposed to address the concerns of the baby boomer generation? And my answer to that right now, and I feel like a lot of our answers to that right now, is we're trying to survive. I'm sorry, I can't help you. We're trying to survive. Once again, the only issue about all of this I see is that they will be forced to stay in the Boomers are going to kind of have to stay in the workforce for an extended period of time, which is like ridiculous because of finding work already as is for Gen Z is just ludicrous. It really is difficult, you guys. The job market is burning. if we address the H-1B, I firmly believe if we address the H-1B visa issue, this is my personal belief, I really do believe that we could perhaps rectify that, especially given the next 5 years or so, which is what this article contends. Will take that amount of time for this to balance out. But do you think businesses have the wherewithal to undergo that? It's not really up to the businesses, of course. It's policy. But I can just imagine the headache that we're going to have to face. It's one thing to hear the boomers cry, but can you imagine private businesses and even nonprofits just absolutely lose their shit if we cut H-1B visas? Holy crap, you guys. They're going to blow their brains out. They can't handle that. God forbid they hire an American who went to school, who's a little younger but needs experience, and pays them an adequate wage. God forbid, right? Very strange indeed. Very strange indeed. Well, it remains to be seen what happens. Of course, like I said, I this is not an explanation or a description of all boomers. I really want to say this, by the way. I know I've been talking badly about boomers. I know that's the fad right now, and that's really fun and cool for everybody. I do want to say I view the age discourse like I view the gender discourse online, is that a lot of it is, I think, kind of a psyop. It's to cause tensions between the generational divides, and I don't appreciate that, actually. I don't like hating people. I don't like hating older people. I don't hate older people. Like, same with the gender discourse. I think the sexes actually should work together and understand each other. Same way with the generational divide. So a lot of this, negative speech, I know this is gonna turn a lot of people off that watch me. A lot of this negative speech that is directed towards the older generations is quite unfortunate, and I disavow. I want to disavow, because this is a psyop to get us pitted against each other, especially within our own nationals. We should be focusing on external enemies, foreign enemies, way before we focus on our own. And so I don't take any pleasure in attacking, baby boomers, Gen Xers, which is going to be the next one, and then Gen Y, and so on and so forth. This is unfortunately, hitting us all, it seems, equally now at this point. I just will say this, and I do want to articulate the point that it's very difficult to have a problem with this as a younger person, considering that a lot of younger people are trying to start their lives, and the reason that they can't even live somewhat comfortably without an immense amount of exertion and effort, because of the so-called sins of the past, it's just difficult to have mercy for that at this present juncture. Especially when the market is situated in a way as such as to, regardless of what you think of tariffs, it is a way to sort of fight back and push back against the foreign affairs and the foreign oppressions that we have been dealing with and facing as a country up until now. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But that is, of course, I have the boomer aesthetic here, so who am I to say anything negative about them, everybody? They're the ones that brought the Culturama aesthetic. By the way, if you love Culturama, buy yourself a Culturama pillow at the AP4 Liberty shop, if you can. Let me see if I can pull it up for you guys. Hold on a second. People are really talking about, really debating in the comments there, I see. No generational warfare in my comments. We love everybody equally, you guys. Everybody equally. We love everybody here on Culturama. AP4libertyshop.com. Before I slide into your guys' DMs with any promo codes, I do want to show you this. Okay, you guys, go to the ap4libertyshop.com. Once again, that is the letter A, the letter P, the number 4, libertyshop.com, and you type in the search bar the Culturama collection. Nelson65 has been dropping the links in the chat, and please search yourself a pillow, maybe some beanies if you do like Tim Pool. God bless you if you do. Or our best top seller, the Culturama Atomic Blonde Coffee. You can get it in a one-time purchase or a consecutive purchase every month or 2 months or 2 weeks. And that way you can support the show. It is highly rated. It can be enjoyed hot or over ice. It is frankly delicious. And it's really the only thing keeping me here doing this stream after I'm recovering from my sickness from God knows what. So thank you, Culturama Atomic Blonde Coffee. And if you want to enjoy the coffee in a mug, please get it in a Culturama mug. As you can see, I have radioactive space zombies there and the Chinese elite that we can all fight against together. Okay, everyone. I will be right back. We have 30 more minutes of the show left until we have the Liberty 2-night show with the fellas of the 4 Liberty Network that we will all laugh and watch together. So that's something that I highly recommend you guys tune into. But before that, we still have 30 minutes left of the show. So stay right there. I have a far more newsworthy items to cover with you guys, and I shall be right back.
Well, here comes Daniela like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Culturama, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way. It's Culturama, taking back tomorrow today.
You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the 4 olds. Old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So, your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah. Who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being.
If you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Well, things haven't been so sweet for Ben & Jerry's after the company posted an anti-American tweet, a few of them, on the 4th of July. The ice cream makers declared the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land.
Well, someone should tell Target that, because they're now selling swimsuits with tuckums in the women's section of the store. And they even have a line just for kids.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to Ben & Jerry's and ask them how they can live with themselves as they operate a multi-billion-dollar company on stolen land while declaring other people give up their so-called stolen land.
This is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie that says whatever the hell that means. We have glad you came out, and I'm so happy that you're queer. In the kids section. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but pride and toddler don't belong in the same sentence.
Good news! Starbucks will offer its workers reimbursement of travel expenses related to accessing abortion and gender-affirming procedures.
Kyle Rittenhouse was seen wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company shirt, and they wanted to distance themselves from that individual. Key employees at the company also were donating to Democrats. Hafer doubled down on throwing many in his base under the bus, describing them as racist and a repugnant group of people.
Hey, Liberty lovers, stop scrolling, because if you're tired of the same old news, then I've got just the wake-up call for you. I want to thank you for tuning in to Culturama, and I know that you're enjoying every minute of it. Join us at rumble.com/AP4Liberty. The Wake Up America show is Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. It's a great way to start your day. Coffee's optional, but waking up is mandatory. Remember, at Wake Up America, we'll keep you sharp, we'll keep you laughing, most of all, we'll keep you free. I'll see you in the morning.
Okay, everyone, welcome back to Culturama, where on this show we are reclaiming the zeitgeist and the discourse. I apologize if I'm going to be a little low energy for the remainder of the 30 minutes. I am hanging on a, what's the term? Hanging on by a string here. So, like I said, I have no idea what I've been afflicted with. I'm, very nauseous and I have a headache, so forgive me if I'm appearing a little out of it, but I do this show for you guys, and I saw how many people were upset when they found out, you know, not like a ton, but there was quite a handful that were upset that I couldn't stream on Tuesday, and it really made me think that, like, you know, this show has its fans and I want to do it justice, and I do love doing this show, and I want to make you guys happy. Get some bone broth, wrote JJ. I have absolutely no appetite, JJ, but I'll see what I can do. Bruiser55 is writing in the chat that we need Culturama stickers. Let me rephrase. I'd like to have Spaced and Yell at my tool cart. Bruiser55, absolutely great idea. I'm going to look into that tonight, actually. I can design a few products, so I will see what I can do. Very easily done what you're suggesting, though. So... absolutely, Bruiser55. Thank you for the suggestion. I will definitely look into making stickers. I think those are gonna sell out pretty fast too. That's a really good item to have on the shop there. Anyway, JJ, I know you donated to the stream. You donated this. I'm sorry. You donated so I could read this story. So I apologize. I know you're still watching. At least I think you are. I just saw you in the chat. So I'm gonna read this off. You wrote, oh, this is what you told me to read. Senator Ted Cruz wrote, release, I applaud President Trump for signing my cryptocurrency resolution into law. Read the full release below. Thank you so much, JJ, for the story suggestion. This was not on my radar, so I do very much appreciate that. This is what it states. The rule would have undermined American leadership on cryptocurrency. I'm grateful to President Trump for signing my resolution into law. The resolution is a victory for innovation, privacy, and economic freedom. Okay, what exactly is this resolution? Let's give it a read. Okay. Senator Ted Cruz applauds signing of cryptocurrency resolution into law. Okay, so it's on advancing cryptocurrency. He introduced the facilitate lower atmospheric... What is this? Okay, let's read the whole thing. The U.S. Senator Ted Cruz of Texas released a statement following President Trump's signing his Congressional Review Act, the CRA, resolution regarding decentralized finance, or DeFi. This resolution overturns an IRS rule on cryptocurrency that would have defined certain developers as brokers for reporting on taxation. Beautiful. I love it, actually. I actually sent 2 links. Oh, the article's above that link, wrote JJ. Okay, JJ, I'll open up in a second, but let me read this out loud first. Upon the CRA being signed into law, Senator Ted Cruz said this rule would have undermined the American leadership on cryptocurrency, and I'm grateful to President Trump for signing a resolution into law. The resolution is a victory of innovation, privacy, and economic freedom. I mean, I love to hear this. I love decentralized banking as much as the next guy. Absolutely. We are protecting the developers who are building the future of cryptocurrency, making clear that the United States will not cede digital leadership to China and preserving the ability of Americans to conduct transactions without government interference. Well done. Wait. JJ, let me see your other link here. Hold on a second. Was it right? Ah, yes. The article right here. Beautiful. Okay. $5 from Nelson65. Euro, get better soon. Thank you, Nelson65. I hope it's not an ulcer or anything like that. Sure has some of the symptoms. But thank you so much. I appreciate that, Nelson65. I saw someone write, let's see, Whitey White just wrote, I was just sick for a week. Something is going around really rough. No, I have heard a lot of people getting sick over the last month. Yeah, no, I had a few people get sick in my family here, my household, last week too. So it's pretty rough. For some reason, I've been taking it far worse than they have, and I don't know why. Like, it's just one of those things where, like, you know, everyone in your vicinity gets sick, but you're the one that actually gets, like, truly afflicted by it. And I don't think I have a weak immune system. Listen, I eat oranges out of the wazoo. I eat oranges every day. Okay? I love citrus fruits. And there has been sicknesses that I've gotten. I've gotten COVID and felt nothing. All right? I've gotten sick with Omicron, Delta. I felt nothing. You know, I've gotten sick and felt fine, but others in my family got, like, even more sick. But this one, if it is a flu, I don't have any respiratory illness. It's very strange. I just, like, want to sleep all the time. But anyways, I don't know what it is. I got really infected by it. Who knows? It's just one of those things that, like, some people have a greater tolerance for and others don't. You know, everyone's a little different. Okay, I'm recovering, obviously. Like, I'm feeling much better than I did on Tuesday, but obviously it's still whiplash. It has a whiplash effect. Okay, Trump makes history signing first crypto bill into law. The law repeals the IRS's controversial DeFi broker rule. So I'm going to be honest, JJ. Maybe nicotine would help, Roll Bruiser? No, Bruiser. That's the last thing I want to put in my body. Did I smear my lipstick? No, I didn't. Thank God. I'm not going to take nicotine, but thank you for the suggestion, Bruiser. $1 from Fiery Waco. Fiery Waco, you wrote, that's not how you eat oranges. Don't wazoo any oranges. I won't wazoo them specifically, Fiery Waco. Thank you so much for your donation. Okay, so I'll be honest here, JJ. I don't know too much about the DeFi broker rule, but this is a good education experience for me and those viewing Culturama today. And a historic move, this is a Substack, love Substack. In a historic move, President Trump has signed into law a bill that blocks the IRS from collecting tax reporting data from decentralized crypto platforms. Interesting. It marks the first time a cryptocurrency-specific piece of legislation has become law in the U.S. That's amazing, actually. Wow. This is a long time coming, if you ask me. It's about freaking time. Wholly based. The bill introduced under the CRA by Republican Senator Ted Cruz of Texas to repeal the IRS's so-called DeFi broker rule passed the Senate on March 26th with an overwhelming bipartisan support in a 70-28 vote. Makes sense? A similar version, led in the House by Congressman Mike Carey of Ohio, had passed with a comparable supermajority just 2 weeks earlier. Repealing the IRS's DeFi broker rule protects innovation and privacy. I would imagine that, yes. That's a natural outcome of this whole thing. Another major step towards ushering in a golden age, we've heard that phrase before, huh, you guys? For digital assets, said Bo Hines. The controversial rule introduced in the final days of the Biden admin would have required decentralized crypto entities, such as exchanges without a central governing body, to comply with traditional IRS reporting requirements. That sounds retarded, and I'm glad that this is getting passed. Yeah, no, a big win for decentralized banking. I'm all for it. Thank goodness. What is this? What is this Substack? Crypto in America. Oh, the whole thing's about crypto. Well, there you go, you guys. If you're into crypto, go on Substack and follow Crypto in America. Oh, I'm not logged into my Substack yet on this tab. That's on this browser. But I'll probably go and subscribe to them afterwards. By Eleanor Terrett. There you go, you guys. Thank you, JJ, for the submission. Obviously, a big win for... it sounds like it had a lot of support. So, like, anything that gets the IRS's dirty, grimy paws off of my financial exchanges is a big W for me, and I think everyone else involved. Of course, I don't really exchange crypto all that much. I used to invest in crypto. A little story time is that after the whole the GameStop thing happened in the stock market a number of years ago, I got Robinhood, the app, and I got a little too into the stock stuff, okay? I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I lost a couple $100, but I also won back some, so there you go. But I did invest in Ethereum, and that was retarded of me. So, because it was so volatile, I didn't know what I was doing. So I'm never doing that again. But, you know, for those that are aware of what's happening, Godspeed and God bless. Stand back and stand by for people like me if you're not sure. But no, this is great news, and very good to see that this is being pushed forward. Substack listen function is great as well. We don't have time to read. Agree. Culturama coin 1, writes Mr. Pig. Very soon, Mr. Pig. We may have a Culturama coin very soon. Okay. I'm going to truck along these next 15 minutes and see if I can make it. If someone donates $200 on stream, I may very much vomit on stream on demand. Wouldn't that be fun, huh? Let's watch this clip. This one really caught my eye.
Paul, we're back with Senator Bernie Sanders. I want to introduce Grace Thomas. She's a local civil rights attorney. She's a Democrat. Grace?
They, them pronouns, actually. Thank you.
Oh.
Good evening, Senator Sanders. Polling and turnout data indicate that men of all racial demographics
Look at his face. Did you guys catch what happened? So this person, this obviously woman here, addressed, they corrected Anderson and said that he had used the wrong pronouns. Let's watch it again. Pay attention.
Paul, we're back with Senator Bernie Sanders. I want to introduce Grace Thomas. She's a local civil rights attorney. She's a Democrat. Grace?
They, them pronouns, actually. Thank you.
Oh.
Oof. Good evening, Senator Sanders. Polling and turnout data indicate that men of all racial demographics...
Look at Bernie Sanders leaning forward and trying to see what the act... Because he's too old for this shit, you know? He's like, oh my God. I need to focus on what's... I want to watch that again. Hold on, with the sound effects.
Paul, we're back with Senator Bernie Sanders. I want to introduce Grace Thomas. She's a local civil rights attorney. She's a Democrat. Grace?
They, them pronouns, actually. Thank you.
Oh.
Good evening, Senator Sanders. Polling and turnout data indicate that men of all racial demographics are turning away from the Democratic Party. But of course...
Paul, we're back with Senator Bernie Sanders.
She asked a stupid question about race, demographics, and polling. Anyway, but the main point here is that it's just funny and satisfying to see that people are being checked at their own game, namely what's happening here with, CIA operative Anderson, and of course Bernie Sanders was just like completely bewildered. He's like, what is she talking about? Look at that, classic. Confused woman, they, them pronouns, actually. Thank you, Bernie. Exactly. Like, he's too old for this. He doesn't know what the heck is going on. I mean, if you're gonna be a they, them, at least put some, like, effort into looking like the part. Cut your hair. Don't look like a woman, you know? I had an offensive statistics segment saved up here for you guys, but here, let me, I'm barely making it. Let me do this little fun part for you guys. This little introduction for the offensive statistics segment, and I want to read some offensive statistics for you guys.
Counting numbers driving me mad, statistics piling, it's all a fad. Everywhere I look, numbers inside, adding this up, keeping me up at night. Oh, those figures dance and whirl in this cluttered number world.
Okay, here's an offensive statistic and a very unpopular fact. Not a lot of leftists will tell you, but I want to focus on the sex demographics of those that decide to identify as non-binary. Now, as you may well know, is that the non-binary label has been increasing as a trend as the generations continue. Okay, so the younger the person, the more likely it is that they are going to identify in this ridiculous way. But additionally, it is obviously who else more than any other demographic, white women are the most likely to identify as non-binary. Shocker, I know. This was taken by the Trevor Project, by the way, so you know it's legit. It's their own people. They wrote, within the non-binary umbrella, most youth use the term non-binary to describe their gender identity, 72%, which is a ridiculous number. Other common gender identity labels of the non-binary umbrella include queer, 29%, gender non-conforming, same thing, 27%, gender fluid, 24%, gender queer, 23%, androgynous, 23%, agender, demi-girl, demi-boy, these are all the peripherals. And then lastly, we have gender flux coming in at 4%, and bigender coming in at 4%. I want you guys to know that all of these terms all mean the same thing. And all it means is I don't know what the hell I am. Okay? But on top of that, didn't the Trevor Project get caught up in some sort of grooming scandal last year? Probably, Bruiser. I wouldn't be surprised. These people are all... Yeah, probably. The Trevor Project is a very left-leaning, organization. I would not be surprised if they were caught up in some grooming scandal, most likely. The right wing needs their own SPLC. Anyways, so we can call these things out. Of course, the mainstream narrative would never allow that. But this is the detail that I want to highlight here today, broken down by sex assigned by medical professionals at birth. Just say what they were born as. Sex assigned by by doctors. Anyway, the extracurricular language here is very off-putting to me, but regardless, 17% of survey respondents. I'm losing my reading ability by the sickness. 17% of survey respondents who were assigned male at birth identified as non-binary, and 28% of respondents who were assigned female at birth identified as non-binary. Most non-binary youth reported being multisexual or attracted to multiple genders. So they're bisexual. Okay. Girls being bisexual. What else is new, right? We have another donation by Whitey White, $10. Thank you so much, Whitey White. You wrote 10 minutes to go, wanted to donate $14.88, but don't think that's possible. Keep up the great streams. Thanks. Thank you, Whitey White. I appreciate your donation, and I appreciate your you joining the show. God bless you. And thank you so much for your support. Culturama loves all of our supporters, financial or not, even if you guys just comment. Thank you and thank you. Anyways, so like I was saying, it's good to see you in the chat though, because there's been a period of time where I didn't see you, so it's good to see you back and chatting away. So thank you for that. Anyways, broken down by sex assigned by medical professionals at birth, 17% were men, 28%, and it's probably even more at this point, were female. I want you guys to ask yourself, why do you think that women are more likely to do this? something to consider. Now, I know there's a lot of conversation. It's kind of an old conversation about how women are perhaps more sexually experimental. I actually don't think this is true. I think women are more likely to demonstrate that and are more likely to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Attention getting than men are. But I don't, yes, to be trendy, Bruiser 55, exactly. I think women are more likely to conform to the trend of the era. And are more likely to desire attention, and so they will perform in certain ways. But I actually think, and I actually read a study about this, I don't have it up, I wish I did, but I've read a couple studies on this. Men are actually more sexually experimental, especially within their youth, if they're willing to be, and a lot more willing to be than women, it appears. Women are more likely to be open about it. So, there is that sort of differentiation. So I don't think it's necessary that it's more of a sexuality aspect as much as it is. Women are just so susceptible to social contagions, especially young girls. And if you look at the trends of trans identity, especially, is that girls who typically, you know, start to question their gender and want to become transgender, it almost exclusively ever happens in their preteen years. What do you think happens during one's preteen years when you're a girl? You get your period, your breast starts developing, you start to get sexualized by the external world. Your entire perception and point of view is changed. Some may even say this is the part where girls start to lose their sense of what POV means. That's just a joke, I'm sorry. But really, for real though, the way that girls are treated en masse by the external world and by society, any society, not just Western, not just Eastern, any society and culture, it is very daunting, you know. And as one-time preteen female, I can say the same thing. It's very daunting. You start to hate yourself, looking yourself in the mirror. You don't like that stuff. You start to gain a little weight. And, you know, therefore, you guys heard this talking point before. They typically kind of want to erase themselves out of the perceived existence. And so one way that they have been doing this and how society has taught themselves taught these girls to do this is to erase their gender and their sex. And boy, am I glad that didn't happen when I was a preteen. Because I like being a woman, all things considered. I actually like being female. And it's actually quite a shame that as a preteen, just by saying one stupid thing makes you erase your entire existence as a female. And it's the left. I'm just gonna... Oh, anyway, I got distracted by the comments. I'm just gonna say this one point and then move on, because it is the end of the show. I made it to the end of the show, you guys. The left will say that it is a right that vilifies women. Maybe in some ways they're right. I don't know. I think vilification of the female kind has been happening all throughout human history in one way or the other, but so has the vilification of men. But it's very interesting that those on the left will say that it's only rightoids and conservatives that will try to vilify women and try to erase their existence and their agency even in society, when they're the ones that are literally erasing the biological implements and functions and existence, just mere existence. Fertility has nothing to do with this. Just the mere existence of those girls goes to show how much they really hate the female kind. And that's very unfortunate. And that's a straight up lie, that they will say that the right hates women, when it is a right that is obviously trying to protect the woman. Maintaining the existence of woman, of the female in society is imperative for civilizational continuance. Obviously, for obvious reasons, reproduction, yes, but it's also for social implements as well. Insinuating that woman should not exist is an evil. I just want to reiterate that. Of course, it's an evil. But they will say that people on the right will try to eliminate female agency, and maybe, I don't know, maybe that's true to a certain degree. I don't think it's all true, obviously. I think I have a good deal of agency. I think some women have more agency than others. But one way that you could expediently remove female agency from the greater society and greater existence is, of course, removing them at all. Not only that, but mentally confusing and ruining the lives of those young girls forever is quite evil. Anyway, I made my point, you guys. I made it till the end of the show. Thank God. I made it without vomiting. So thank goodness for that. Thank you guys that have tuned in and have stuck with me. I'm going to do my outro here. Okay, let me see if the fellas are... Let me see if the fellas are streaming right now, actually. And then I will send you guys off there. They're live. Okay. Everyone, I'm going to drop in the link to the link to the Liberty Tonight Show. Join them. They're pretty funny. You might want to watch them after this stream. If not, God bless ya. But let me do the outro here, and we will call it a night. Where's my power song? Here it is.
In the heart they gather strong, pushing back.
God bless you, everyone. Thank you for taking part of the zeitgeist and the greater conversation. I hope that together we can take back tomorrow, today. God bless you, everyone. Maintain the narrative. Maintain the peace. And most of all, maintain your relationship with God and yourself and your national identity. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, and I will see you on Saturday during the Culturama Saturday Night Gaming stream. God bless you, everyone, and have a wonderful night.
In the heart of every town, we've got the power now. The Reds are going down. With a flagpole planted firm, golden dreams that won't decay, marching proudly through the day. In the eagle's shadow wide, we find our strength and take our pride. Let the voices echo loud, tearing through the waiting crowd. We've got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down. Across the plains and mountains tall, hear the victory call. With courage and with might we strive, in the light of freedom's guide. We got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the